There are several theories about how Theo's character in the Rings of Power could tie into greater Lord of the Rings lore, and I hope the Amazon show confirms the one that connects him to the founding of Rohan. The other possibilities are just too depressing. Theo is introduced in the Rings of Power Season 1, and his dubious interest in a broken blade with Sauron's symbol on it has led many to believe he'll turn to darkness before the series is through. Although this doesn't jibe with Theo's portrayal at the end of the Rings of Power Season 1 or throughout Season 2, there are ways it could happen. Of course, it's just as possible that Theo could be a completely original character, with the series never connecting him to J.R.R. Tolkien's books. There is a third option as well, and that's the one I'm hoping is confirmed in the Rings of Power Season 3. While Theo's journey could end with him becoming a Nazgul or the King of the Dead, I'd much rather learn that he's from the bloodline that founded and ruled Rohan. I hope the Rings of Power Season 3 confirms Theo as Earl the Young's ancestor. The Amazon show can connect him to Rohan. Tyro Mahafadin as Theo in The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 2. With the Rings of Power unfolding during Tolkien's Second Age, it's unlikely the show will dig into the origins of Rohan, which doesn't crop up until the Third Age, or depict its first king, Earl the Young. However, Theo's story could distantly connect him to the founding of Rohan by revealing that he's an ancestor of Earl the Young. This would be a promising way to connect Theo to greater Lord of the Rings lore without being too heavy-handed. It would also allow him to remain a hero throughout the Rings of Power. This is one of the best theories about who Theo is in the Rings of Power, and there's promising evidence for it. The backbone of this theory has to do with Theo's and Bronwyn's names, which bear a striking resemblance to those of Theoden, the king of Rohan in The Lord of the Rings, and his niece, Eowyn. Specific kingdoms would likely to pass down prefixes and suffixes from generation to generation, meaning these similarities could be more than mere coincidence. With the destruction of the Southlands in the Rings of Power Season 1, Theo and his people are also tasked with finding a new place to settle. While they are currently in Pelargia, there's no telling if they'll remain there, and I could see the looming war with Sauron and the arrival of the Númenóreans pushing them to go elsewhere. Fighting alongside the Númenóreans in Season 1 and Theo's friendship with Isildur in Season 2 also set up Rohan's alliance with Gondor. Should the Rings of Power choose to go this route, there's also a smaller detail that adds fuel to this theory: Arondir giving Alpharin seeds to Bronwyn. This flower can later be found among the burial mounds of Rohan, where the deceased kings are laid to rest. This could be a hint that Bronwyn and Theo are connected to Rohan's royalty, which would make for a great Lord of the Rings connection. Connecting Theo to the rise of Rohan would be the perfect LOTR connection. It's not too heavy-handed and fits with Tolkien's themes. Connecting Theo to the first king of Rohan would be a great way to tie his Rings of Power arc into Tolkien's Third Age lore. While the series' Gandalf reveal and Harfoot storyline are more heavy-handed ways of bringing this story back to the Lord of the Rings, revealing that Theo is a distant ancestor of Earl the Young wouldn't be. This revelation would be removed enough from Frodo's narrative that it wouldn't feel shoehorned in for the sake of connection. However, it would still highlight how the events of the Second Age directly impact everything that happens later. Having Theo be the ancestor of such an important figure in Middle-earth's history would also be in line with Tolkien's themes, as the author valued lineage in his world-building and writing. As such, it wouldn't make sense to have Theo be a random character who isn't relevant to Middle-earth's history. The other Rings of Power theories about Theo are just too depressing to work. I'd hate for Theo to meet such a tragic fate. The 9 Rings of Power given to 9 men in LOTR. While there are other ways that Theo could connect to the Lord of the Rings, I think they may be too depressing to work. Alternate theories surrounding the character suggest that he could become one of Sauron's ringwraiths or even the Witch King of Angmar. With Theo being named the Lord of Pelargia, it's more plausible that he could receive a Ring of Power. And he's already shown with the hilt that he's drawn to darkness, making him more easily corruptible. Theo's friendship with Isildur also raises the possibility that he could be the King of the Dead, the leader of the Oathbreakers who fulfill their promise to Gondor in the Return of the King. This would also lead Theo to a tragic end, which I'd hate to see after watching him grow as a character. I'd much prefer the Rings of Power giving Theo a more admirable and heroic purpose, but only time will tell where the series takes him.